Silverstone, British Grand Prix 2024, 7th of July, Sunday. Wow. Probably the most meaningful, emotional, and subjectively the best race of the season so far. We're going to give it the lover of cars F1 breakdown treatment right now. Boy, let's get into it. Because I'm going through one right now. I'm in a state.
I'm not.
I'm in a
I
state.
refuse to do a breakdown for this race. I don't like him, and I refuse to do it. So you're going to have to do it.
Where do we even begin? This is 52 laps of absolute orderly chaos. And man, we had at one point it was a British 1-2-3 with Hamilton, Russell, and Norris, fighting through. The start was crazy. It was just all happening. Then we saw the Papaya boys really coming into their own. Honestly, the McLaren team have really set these cars up so well. Russell was in pole, Lewis was hunting for it. And like what happens in Formula One, just sometimes things just don't go your way, even if it's not your fault. A water issue was suffered. And yeah, it's just Russell had to back in, and it wasn't meant to be. And it's not good for constructors in any capacity for Mercedes, but it leaves the gap open for Lewis. Lewis comes through. I had a bit of hope. That finally Lando had woken up and really started doing the job in terms of making sure that Max was subdued. But as you're pretty much going to add to it, TC, as the race went on, Lando showed himself as Lando again, like I've pretty much been hammering about him getting the job done. And I mean, it is how it is because he's been given the number one treatment as the number one driver at McLaren. And I'm telling you, man, the time that Piastri gets to be that guy, these things won't be happening because he was just being good. He was on point. But what an emotional set it was. And I don't want to go too far. I want you to interject on what your take was on the race.
I don't understand why you're so emotional about it.
I'll say why I'm emotional about it, actually.
But it happens every year.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Repeat. Okay, Woody got flooded. Okay, that's fine. Woody gets flooded. Okay. So that's something that we put by the by. It was never meant to be for him.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong. I wanted to see the three British boys 1, 2, and 3, but Woody was never meant to be. Lando Norris is actually, he's now my shit pile because he had the car, the strategy, and the means to overtake Verstappen and to keep Lewis Hamilton behind him. And what did he do? He made some mistakes. He's really showing how terrible he can be at making choices. Never mind when you and TK, who couldn't be here today, when you and TK laugh at me about Ferrari strategy, McLaren are now the new strategy fuck-up specialist because that was terrible. The rest of the race, I mean, I'm happy to see Lewis win for the first time since 2021. I just didn't expect him to win.
Since Jeddah, man. Since Jeddah. I think this is what makes it more special. I do agree that how good and consistent McLaren have been strategically, they should have double parked. They made a mistake. Very unlike them with how good they've had themselves set up. So I will take that. And it did make things a bit more difficult for Lando and Piastri, especially. I just feel like Lando, he still needs to have a look at himself. I still feel, and you could tell by his demeanor and his whole energy being off that he knows it himself now. He knows it himself because this time he had more than enough time, But yes, the stars were aligned.
Was aligned for him.
It were, and I've said it. I'm telling you this now. I know it sounds harsh. I like him, but being number one driver material requires a level of composure, but it also requires a level of stepping up when you're given the arsenal and the means to do so. And he's low-key proven that when it comes down to it, it's just not happening.
So would you say, so this is now his second race where he just hasn't shown up. He's had the means, the tools, the strategy, and he crumbles when it comes to it. And to be fair, I don't want to dwell too much on the Lando situation because actually, when you look at the rest of the race, Piastri had a fantastic.
Ah,
You know what? At that point, and I don't know what Zach Brown's done, and you don't like Zach Brown. However, Zach Brown, whatever he's told his boys to do, it's working, and it's working very well.
yeah, he is.
And
He is.
Lando
He
be
is.
Lando.
He
But
is. No,
Piastri
no, no.
now-
You got to give it to Zach. Like you're saying, Zach, even his confidence to speak to, the presenters and the commentators while racing. Yeah, Zach. You know what? Yeah, Zach has won me over. Zach has won me over. I got to give you that, man. He has.
You know we are going to make it short of that bit where you say Zach has won you over. Out of
Yes,
all the
yes,
crud
yes,
you have
yes.
said.
Yes.
So let's move on
yes.
from let's move on from the front. Verstappen. This is the second week in a row where I'm now saying what you said. What, at the beginning of the season?
Yeah.
It's now, and you know what? It's a shame TK isn't here to defend him. But
there's no defending him.
To Verstappen, whatever happened to Verstappen in the beginning of that race, and again, he was someone else that was lined up to win that race. Yep. Why did he only come alive at lap 48?
And this is why I'm saying there is enough shifts in the cog that's causing these minor issues, and these are minor enough where Red Bull can still be winning, or Max can just be winning, right? Let's not even say Red Bull, because I don't know where Checo is. But
back of the grid.
I know, but I'm saying, but that's enough for the other competing teams, especially if I'm looking at McLaren with how consistently set up they are and better strategy next to Ferrari, for them to be making life difficult. So as a whole neutral, we can just have an exciting season where Max just doesn't run away with it. Make him work. Do you get it? And it's happening. It's now time to just hammer it home. The fact that we've had Mercedes win and it's Lewis, not Russell, who was in contention to be the one to actually win it by how his car set up. This is the time that we need to really maximize on Max's odd little inconsistencies. It's now the time. Let's do this, man.
But the cracks are now starting to show.
Oh, yeah, big time.
I was reading earlier on that it's no surprise that Checo signs a 2-year deal and all of a sudden he's now at the back of the grid. Yeah. Ricardo's now being linked to replacing him.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, hang on. Ricardo's also inconsistent. Fernando Alonso, they're inconsistent at the moment. I don't know what's going on at AMR, but the whole setup is wrong.
That's wrong.
Dude, K-Mag and Hulkenberg are actually doing what they're meant to do as a bottom end team. And yes, with the announcement of Ollie Behrman going to Haas, it might have put a bit of fire under the belly.
Yeah, you need that.
But this race, and again, I don't know what it is. It's just Silverstone all
over, man.
No one predicts that it's going to rain on half of the track. And when it is raining, you don't then have the car set up. That's where McLaren had it right. You set up for the car that it's going to rain anyway, but you give yourself a lap ahead. That was a good strategy. And that's the one and only save I can say for Lando and Piastri. Great strategy.
Yeah. It's
terrible.
It's one of those where it's the great British summer, and where I'm personally emotional. Like I said, for me, we're modern day classic F1 fans, where it's the late noughties, 2000s that really got us into Formula One, to some extent late 90s, but it's really early 2000s. And McLaren have always been my favorite team. And I've always said it. You go back and I know you don't like Lewis, but for me, I went uni in Hertfordshire, and I had the pleasure of seeing his dad and serving his dad times I worked at Morrison's well in Garden City. And he's literally the epitome of a good example dad at that level. And for what these lot have gone through and the headache that he gets beyond just being a prima donna in his own right for how he expresses himself, Lewis.
Yeah, but he makes his own headache.
He does, but it's what comes with sometimes being at that level. It's the Ronaldo effect, right? But away from that, all his achievements show it. Bro, 9 wins on a single circuit, right? Not just any random circuit, home circuit. He's now not just matched, Schumacher in world championships, but also beating him as the only person to have ever achieved 9 wins. And I don't know, for me, in terms of setting an example, Just to see Lewis like ball out, hug his dad, see what they've gone through to get here, and it's at Silverstone for him to win again after this 3 years of just madness and what happened in Abu Dhabi in 2021. I'm not gonna lie, I shed tears today, man. I'm in a state. So
that's because you're a little girl. Did you not hear how silent the radio were last week when George was in that position? What happened at Mercedes? They literally told him, George, you can do it. No radio time was given to Lewis today, regardless of where he was. No radio time was doing it. And don't get me wrong, nine wins at your own home, at your own Grand Prix, brilliant. However, he now needs to realize that maybe he's made the wrong choice for moving away from Mercedes. Because if I look, I'm about to bring it up before you do. Ferrari have been a shambles.
I know.
4 or 5 races. Is Lewis going to bring anything differently? Probably not.
No, do you know what? I want to agree with you, but I don't think it. Here's where at a certain point we had the same talk about when McLaren were at their peak and Lewis left. When Niki Lauda was still around and he convinced him with the whole Braun takeover, reshaping of Mercedes, we said the same thing and look what happened. I'm not saying there's going to be that kind of stride of wins again. Lewis just needs the 8th championship. He deserves it on a statistical level. He needs it. He's hungry for it. And if it means having to hopscotch a little bit and Ferrari's the rite of passage, we kind of have to trust and have a bit of gut faith, you know. So I'm still gonna say it's the right decision for him to leave, but only time will tell, man. It's only next year, bro.
So when you're saying it's a right decision for him to leave, which I get, he had to leave. He has to leave Mercedes in order to get that 8th title. Fine. Looking at the last race 10 now. Looking at the last 10 races, do you think that he's gonna bring anything better to Ferrari? Because if you look at the grid, okay, there were some movers and shakers. Sainz is really impressing me. Mr. I still don't have him next year. He's now proving to every single person why he should have been signed, not Leclerc. And I'm a Leclerc fan through and through.
But
he's had 4 races where he hasn't.
He's absolutely shocking. Sorry, man, Charles. I like him too, but nah, not on the level.
But then you then look at even Logan Sargent today did really well. And I was surprised.
Answering that question, I don't think Lewis will bring anything better. What I think he's going to bring is a bit of fear in Ferrari. I know Ferrari are not a team you make scared, but I feel like Lewis is the only odd anomaly that can make Ferrari scared enough to actually tactically do things right. He's not going to bring anything better, right? But I feel like if he can actually make Ferrari scared enough of their own silly tactical mistakes, maybe they might make the right plays to just allow him to win. That's all I'm thinking that Lewis can bring. Is he? So I feel like the fear of, I'm not coming here for you to do silly stuff for us to not win this 8th championship. Would you not want that 8th championship to be on your heritage? Right? So if that's the case, act right and don't do silly calls or do silly stuff that's going to cost us. If anything's going to cost us, let it cost us based on things that are out of our control. But when it's in our control, we mess up, we're going to have a problem. If Lewis can bring that fear into them, I think that's going to be enough.
So based on what you saw today, and I was partly impressed with what Mercedes did. Okay, sad luck for Woody, and he must have gone through a puddle at high speed and his car got flooded, but you could tell the emotion in Woody because this is not the first time he's been on pole and he's fumbled the bag. Same thing.
Yeah.
It's starting to show the cracks even within George, because when he knows there's another 10 races and Lewis will be gone, he now has to step into those senior driver shoes and actually bring something to the table. And right now, you can't be on pole, then bomb out. You can't be on pole and constantly care what's going on behind you, because that's what he did all race. When he was in front, all he cared about was who's going to attack him next. Right?
Yes.
Race your own race. And I hate to say this, Verstappen does it well. when
Oh,
Verstappen's
bro,
in front,
listen,
he just goes. He doesn't care what's
listen,
behind him. They have to
listen,
catch him.
Max, credit to Max here. The fact that he can still invoke the fear of God in you when you know Lewis was safe to still win it shows you have to give him props. Like, he dealt with Lando. He just dealt with him. Like, when he and that's what I mean about Lando has that. Every time Lando's had that same capability and opportunity where Max was, he didn't get it done. Max one time got it done to the point where we were all scared he was going to get past Lewis, but we shouldn't have been. The time gap, if you strategically calculate, you knew the time gap was fine and it was safe, but Max makes you feel that fear. So you have to give it to him. And I mean, bro, wrapping up for our drivers of the day, as much as I always give it to Piastri, I've got to give it to my favorite driver of all time, statistically the greatest F1 driver we've ever had, Lewis Hamilton. What a great way to just win again after so long. And it was his home turf. He's broken a record that is inconceivable. I give it to Lewis, man.
See, this is the second week running. I'm giving it to the same driver again.
Science.
Mr. I can have a job.
No,
like he's actually,
he's
not
good.
only impressing me, he's showing me that he's the only person that's been turfed by multiple teams and still wants to perform, still turns up. Yeah. And if I was Ferrari, I'll be taking a hard look at myself right now going, did we make the right choice? And again, they will always say yes, based on statistics, longevity. But
you ain't gonna see me cry on camera, man. Nah, I'm not doing it.
Oh, do you want some tissues?
Nah, I'm not doing it, man. It's mad.
Don't be a little bitch.
What a day. What a day.
No, driver day was done. Silverstone was great.
Best race of the season so far, most emotional, most meaningful, man.
1,000%. But we're not going to the summer break. So
it's not too much of a break, bro. We've got the whole Hungaroring, and that is obviously from the period of the 19th to the 21st. Obviously, we've got this coming week, Goodwood Festival of Speed between the 11th to the 14th. So watch out for all things related to Goodwood Festival of Speed. Our second year running, the Lover of Cars team will be there to pretty much break it down. We can't wait to see what's happening there. Yes, tune in for Hungary Grand Prix at the Hungaroring. Race day will be on the 21st. So for sure, if you want to make sure that you catch more of our reactions on Lover of Cars for all things Formula One related for 2024 and beyond, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos on the channel. And we will catch you in the next one. Peace.